My husband's mother changed the locks to my inherited home while I was hospitalized. She said it was for my own good. My husband just stood there. No warning. No explanation. But when I came home and found what else they'd done, I didn't cry. I called a lawyer. And then I found the camera, tucked behind the bedroom window. I still remember the sting of that doorknob not turning, the way my hand just froze there. I thought maybe I was too weak. Still dizzy from the meds. But no, they had changed the locks. To my house. The one my grandmother left me. The one I'd spent years restoring. And my husband? He said Mom was just worried. Like I was some lost child. Like I hadn't paid the taxes, the repairs, the roof. That was the moment it shifted. Something in me snapped, but quietly. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I smiled. Because I knew if they wanted a war, I was going to bring it. Legal. Sharp. And cold. I guess I always knew Loretta didn't like me. She never said it outright, at least, not in front of other people. But it was there, always, in the way she smiled at me like I was a child playing dress-up in someone else's life. She met me on the day Nathan brought me home for Thanksgiving. I had worn a navy sweater, simple pearl earrings, and brought a homemade pumpkin pie. I remember her looking me up and down before saying, "So you don't bake from scratch," with a smile that almost passed for polite. That was Loretta. Always wrapped in grace and control. Always finding a way to remind you weren't quite enough. Nathan, my husband, was sweet. Kind, easygoing, loved his coffee too hot and his eggs overdone. We met in law school. I left early, he stayed and finished, and I ended up shifting into property management while he became an architect. He's brilliant with design, terrible with confrontation, and completely unable to stand up to his mother. When my grandmother passed, she left me a house. Not just any house, a beautiful old craftsman-style home tucked in a quiet street just outside Savannah. Peeling paint, sun-damaged shutters, a roof that sighed when the wind blew too hard, but it had bones. History. It was mine. I poured everything I had into restoring it. Every paycheck, every free weekend. I replaced the wiring, reinforced the beams, painted the porch the same soft sage green the first remembered from childhood. I laid new floors with my own two hands. I breathed life into it again. It was the first place I had ever felt like I belonged. Loretta saw the house and told me it was too much work. Said we should just sell it and move into something more sensible. Nathan stayed quiet. He always did. When Nathan's firm downsized and he started working from home, Loretta offered to help manage things around the house, drop off meals, check in on the contractors, make sure the roofers weren't cutting corners. I didn't ask for her help, but Nathan said she just wanted to feel useful. Then one day, she showed up with her own set of keys. In case of emergency, she said. Nathan had given her a spare. That's when the boundaries started to blur. I'd come home from the store and find her rearranging my pantry. I'd walk into the guest room to see she'd swapped out my bedding for something less harsh. She started storing her coats in our closet. "It's just easier," she said. Then came the paperwork. One afternoon, I found her sitting in my dining room with a folder of important documents she'd compiled for me and Nathan, things like updated wills, house insurance, tax prep. "It's just easier if it's all in one place," she said. "That way, if something ever happens, we don't have to go digging." I should have said something. I should have pushed back harder. But at the time, I was tired. I was juggling work, the final round of repairs, and trying to keep the peace between Nathan and his mother. And then I got into a car accident. It wasn't anything too serious. Fractured ribs, a concussion. I was in the hospital for a few days, groggy, vulnerable, barely awake enough to remember what day it was. Nathan stayed with me the first night. Loretta took over after that. I don't even remember agreeing to it. I later found out she had my wallet, my keys, access to my laptop. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was just grateful to be healing. But when I came home, when I walked up to the front steps of my own house and realized my key didn't fit in the door, I felt it. Something had shifted. And I couldn't unfeel it. Nathan said it was just temporary. Loretta said she'd changed the locks for my protection. But I knew. I knew in my bones this wasn't about safety. This was about control. And deep down, I think I knew it had only just begun. It happened on a Thursday. The kind of warm Georgia morning where the air feels soft and the light makes everything look gentler than it is. I had just been discharged the day before. Still sore. Still wrapped in bandages. I moved slow with care. But my head was clear. And I just wanted to go home. Nathan had offered to pick me up, but I told him I'd take a rideshare instead. Something inside me needed to arrive alone. Quietly. The driver dropped me off at the end of the street. I didn't want a scene, not today. I remember walking those last few steps, holding a little overnight bag, my body aching with every breath, and then standing in front of my door, key in hand. But the lock wouldn't turn. At first, I thought I had the wrong key, then maybe the wrong door. I even laughed, soft, unsure. But no, it was my house, my porch, my name on the mailbox, my sage green shutters still chipped on the edge. The key had been changed. I froze. Completely. I knocked. No answer. I called Nathan. He picked up on the third ring, groggy. "Hey, you home already?" "Yeah, I'm at the door," I said quietly. "The key doesn't work." Silence. Then a long sigh. "Mom changed the locks." My stomach dropped. "She said it was safer this way," he added. "She changed the locks to my house?" My voice trembled, but I kept it low. Controlled. "I didn't want to stress you while you were healing," he said. "Things have been tense." She thought, "Maybe it'd be better if you stayed somewhere else for a little while." I didn't answer right away, because there was no answer that made sense. "You're okay with this?" I finally asked. He was quiet. Then, "Maybe we all just need space." That was the moment it snapped for me. Not the locks. Not Loretta. But him. He was supposed to be my person. My partner. And yet, in the moment I needed him most, he stood behind his mother. Again. I hung up. I didn't cry. I didn't knock again. I sat on the porch for a while, watching the sun shift across the street. Then I stood up, called a locksmith, then the police. I explained it calmly, like I wasn't unraveling inside. "I'm the legal owner. I've been locked out of my own home while recovering from an accident." I believe it was intentional. The officer met me there. So did the locksmith. When Loretta opened the door, she looked pleasant. Like I was early for tea. "Oh, we didn't expect you back so soon," she said sweetly. The officer didn't flinch. "Ma'am, this residence legally belongs to her. You need to leave immediately." Her smile slipped. "But Now," the officer said. She turned red. Tight-lipped. Angry. But she left. Nathan followed, not saying a word. I stood in the foyer after the door closed, just breathing. It smelled like lavender. But the house didn't feel like mine anymore. Something had shifted. And I knew I was going to take it all back. Piece by piece. 2 days later, they came back. This time, it wasn't just Loretta and Nathan. It was them and a man in a suit holding a leather folder. I hadn't even made coffee yet. Still in pajamas, hair tied up, bruises from the accident still yellowing on my arms. They rang the bell like it was just another visit. Like we were civil. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. Loretta smiled that same tight smile. "Don't worry, dear. We're not here to fight. Just to clarify a few things." The man stepped forward. "I'm here to discuss a property matter," he said politely, flipping open the folder. I stared at him. "It's my house," I said. "My name's on the deed." "Yes," he nodded, "but the down payment, renovations, and certain recurring costs, according to the Porters, came from their joint account. We're here to open a discussion around equity." My mouth went dry. "That money was a gift," I said, sharper than I meant to. "A wedding gift." He glanced at Loretta, who stepped in smoothly. "It's not about money, sweetheart. It's about fairness. We just want to make sure everyone is protected." My hands clenched. I looked at Nathan. He wouldn't meet my eyes. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just some emotional overstep. This was strategy. A paper trail. A build-up. They'd been planning this. I stepped back and shut the door without a word. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I called my lawyer. When I explained everything down to the visit, the timing, the equity claim, she asked one quiet question. "Do you have reason to believe any legal documents may have been altered while you were hospitalized?" I paused. Then I remembered Loretta's folder. Her access to my things. My wallet. My computer. My lawyer exhaled slowly. "We need to check everything. Immediately." And that's when the fear turned to fire. Because now, this wasn't just betrayal. It was fraud. I didn't sleep much that week. My lawyer moved fast. We started reviewing all shared documents, email trails, financial statements, anything that had even a hint of Loretta's involvement. And sure enough, we found something. A scanned PDF titled, "Emergency Power of Attorney, Evelyn Porter." I had never signed it. The signature looked like mine. Almost. But not quite. The date on the document? The second day I was in the hospital, heavily medicated, drifting in and out of consciousness. Loretta had submitted it to our shared financial advisor 2 days later, asking to consolidate a few assets for safety. I felt sick. That same night, I changed every password I owned. Froze my credit. Had a notary verify my signature samples. My lawyer began the process of invalidating the forged document quietly so we wouldn't tip them off. But I wasn't just playing defense anymore. I wanted proof. I wanted Loretta to show her real face, and I wanted to catch it. So I made a plan. I installed a small hidden camera in the living room, disguised inside an antique lamp. Not part of the main security system, no beeps, no blinking light. Just silence. Watching the entryway and the kitchen island. The heart of the house. Then I called her. I told her I wanted to talk. That maybe I had overreacted. That I just wanted to settle things like family. She was all sweetness. Of course, dear. We knew you'd come around. The next afternoon, she arrived alone. No lawyer. No Nathan. She walked in like she owned the place, heels clicking across my floors, purse slung neatly over one arm. That same scent, rose and expensive powder. That same condescending smile. I offered her tea. She declined. We sat across from each other at the kitchen island, and I asked plainly, "So, Loretta, what's this really about?" She tilted her head. "It's not about control," she said, like I had accused her of something. "It's about stability. Nathan was never himself with you. He stopped visiting. He started pulling away. You changed him." I stared. "You changed the locks to my home." She shrugged. "Sometimes people don't realize they're hurting the people who love them. We just had to do what was right." Then she reached into her purse and slid something across the counter. "A flash drive." "What's this?" I asked, already wary. She folded her hands neatly. "Nathan's updated will." My stomach dropped. "He's not dead." "Of course not," she said with a smile. "But if anything were to happen, I thought you should know. He changed it last month. Everything goes to Frank and me. Not you." I didn't move. Didn't touch the drive. I just kept looking at her. She patted my hand like I was a child. "It's better this way. You'll understand eventually." And then she left. I watched her car pull away, then walked straight to my home office and called my lawyer. I told her everything. The visit. The flash drive. The words Loretta used, especially that last line. My lawyer's voice dropped low. "Do not plug it in. If it's fake, it could carry spyware. Or worse." I locked it in a fireproof box. Then we began preparing for what would come next. Because now, I didn't just have a forged document. I had footage of Loretta admitting to everything. No script. No filter. No excuses. And most importantly, she didn't know she'd handed me the rope she'd used to hang herself. Not yet. 2 days after the flash drive visit, I called Nathan. I told him I had a box of his clothes he might want to pick up. I didn't say more. I didn't have to. He showed up looking like a shell of himself, tired, pale, shoulders slouched under the weight of his own silence. I led him to the front hallway where I'd placed a small box, a hoodie, a watch I'd found under the bed, an old paperback he always left by the couch. He looked at the box, then at me. "This is it." I nodded. "You forgot something else, though." He raised an eyebrow. I pulled out my phone, opened the hidden cam footage, and hit play. There was his mother, in full sound and color, talking about the will, the control, the "you'll understand eventually." I didn't look at Nathan while it played. I just watched his reflection in the glass cabinet behind him. His face drained. His lips parted slightly, like he wanted to say something, but no words came. When the clip ended, I looked up. "She did this," I said flatly. "She planned it. She made you choose between her and me. And now she's trying to erase me completely." Nathan sat down slowly on the edge of the hallway bench. He rubbed his hands together, over and over, like trying to wipe something off that wouldn't come clean. Then he spoke, quiet as a whisper. "I never changed my will." I stared. "What?" "I didn't change it," he repeated. "I didn't even know she had a copy. I didn't authorize anything." I felt a cold wave ripple through me. "Then what's on the flash drive?" He swallowed hard. I think it's fake." Or worse, she forged it. Silence stretched between us, thick and jagged. I stood still, calculating. This wasn't just emotional abuse. This was criminal. Coordinated. "She had access to your things while you were in the hospital," he said, barely meeting my eyes. "Your wallet. Your laptop." She said it was to help pay bills. I didn't question it. I exhaled, sharp and quiet. "You need to decide right now," I said. "Are you with her, or are you going to help me stop this?" He didn't answer. Not immediately. He just sat there, looking like he'd aged 10 years in a week. Then finally he nodded. "There's something else I need to tell you." Of course there was. He stood, moved toward the door, and then paused. "She's been planning this for months. Before your accident. Before the locks. The lawsuit. All of it." I felt my stomach turn. "She wants to sell the house," he continued. She wants to move to Florida, and she figured if she could get you out, claim partial ownership, flip the deed, she could profit big. So, it was never about me. Never about him. It was about real estate. I stood there, completely still. She didn't just want control. She wanted the whole damn house. And now? I wanted to burn her empire down, legally, precisely, and without mercy. That same week, we filed for a restraining order against Loretta and Frank. My lawyer submitted everything, the forged power of attorney, the hidden cam footage, the flash drive, even screenshots of Loretta's emails where she called the house our future property. It didn't stop there. When police got involved, they searched Loretta's home. What they found made my blood run cold: printed copies of my work schedule, a map of the neighborhood with marked entries, even blank deed transfer forms already filled out in my name. She wasn't just manipulative. She was meticulous. Nathan agreed to testify. Said he'd had enough. Said she went too far. But Loretta? She didn't go quietly. She showed up outside my office a week later, sitting in her car for hours. I didn't approach. I called the police. That alone violated the restraining order. They arrested her right there, perfect blazer, hair undone, lipstick faded, screaming that I was the manipulator, that I'd destroyed her family. It was poetic. At the civil hearing, my lawyer laid it all out: the fake legal forms, the surveillance, the lies. Loretta lost everything. No claim to the house. Court-ordered damages. And her reputation? Gone. I walked out of that courtroom with my name, my deed, and something even better: silence. The kind that only comes when someone dangerous is finally gone. After the hearing, Nathan tried to make things right. He moved out of his parents' home, cut contact with Loretta, started therapy, said all the right things. He showed up with flowers, old photo albums, even that stupid pasta dish he used to make when we were broke and in love. He apologized. For not protecting me. For not speaking up. For not seeing what she was doing until it was too late. I want to rebuild, he said, voice shaking. We can start over. But I couldn't forget. He stood there when they locked me out. He stood there when she called my house hers. He stood there when I needed someone to speak, and he stayed silent. Even if he didn't sign the papers, he let it all happen. So I told him the truth. I'm not staying with someone who made me feel like a guest in my own life. He cried. I didn't. I had done all the crying already. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat on the porch with my dog curled at my feet, and felt something I hadn't in months. Stillness. I sold the house 2 months later. Not because I had to, but because I wanted the final word. I didn't want to sleep another night in a war zone. That house had been love, then control, then evidence. It was time to let it go. With the money, I bought a little cabin up in Asheville. Quiet. Green. No hidden cameras. No fake paperwork. No in-laws sitting in the driveway at 2 a.m. Just me. And Rocky. And peace. Sometimes I still think about what happened. About the locks. The lies. The flash drive on my counter. I don't feel proud of every choice I made, but I feel free. And freedom? That's something I'll never let anyone take from me again.